In this video, I want to talk about how to set up your own dedicated Minecraft server. And by doing this, it will allow us to share out our Minecraft games and allow other users to join, either over a local area network or even over the internet. Alright, so what you see here is kind of a basic home network layout. On the right hand side we have our local area network, we have our Minecraft server, and we have a few local PCs, wired or wireless. Doesn't really matter, but wired probably work better in this case because it's always better for gaming, low latency, and it's just fast. But all those are connected to our local modem router switch combo. It doesn't have to be a combo, it could be whatever, but most likely you have a modem and a router, which is then connected to the internet. So for any of our local clients, all they have to do to connect to our server is enter the local IP address of the server, being 192.168.2.7, and then they can connect right up. Now, if we want to open our games up to the internet and you're behind a router, there's an additional step that we have to take here, and that is we have to port forward port 25565, which is the default Minecraft server port, from our external IP to the internal IP address of our server. Now, I'm not going to cover how to do that here because it's been covered countless times on the internet, but if you just Google search, I'm sure you can figure out how to do it. But once the port forwarding is in place, then all you have to do is anybody who wants to connect over the internet will just connect to your external IP address or the IP address of your modem. And that's all there is to it. So both users will still access your Minecraft games in the same way. They'll just use a little bit different addresses. The Minecraft server software itself has a relatively small footprint. It is written in Java, so you do need Java installed on the machine that you're running it on. But on average, for a small server, it will consume about 150 to 300 megabytes of RAM. And because it's so lightweight, you can actually run it on the same computer that you're playing on and probably not even notice that it's running, as long as you have a decently powerful computer. Now, if you're going to go ahead and run it on its own dedicated hardware, it can require as little as a single core CPU with 2 gigabytes of RAM and should be fine for supporting a few users over a local area network. But a single game can support up to 150 users, so keep that in mind. More users is going to require more hardware to keep things running smoothly. The server I'll be using in this demo is it's an ESXi 5.1 virtual machine, and I gave it 4 cores, 4 gig of RAM, and it's running Windows 7 Ultimate 64-bit edition. Alright, so now that we got all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. So let's head over to minecraft.net/download, and here you'll find there's downloads for the game itself, and then there's also 2 different downloads for the server. There's a Windows executable, and then there's just a Java archive that you can use on any OS that has Java. But since we're running Windows in this demo, we're going to go ahead and download the executable, which I already have, and I've put it off in this folder on my desktop here. Now, I recommend sticking the executable in its own folder because when we run it, it's going to go and create a bunch of files, and if you just put it on your desktop, it'll just make a mess. But let's go ahead and double click to open that up, and you may have to right click and run as administrator, but you see it starts preparing our spawn area, and that'll take a few seconds to do that the first time we launch this. And you also notice there's a few failures about failed to find a couple files, but we don't have to worry about those because it's going to go and create them since this is the first time that we're running the server. So now you'll notice that in the left hand pane, all of the files that it said it could not find on startup are now there and successfully created by the server. So now that it's up, let's go ahead and stop it by typing stop at the bottom here and let it shut itself down. That is the preferred way to do it rather than just Xing out. Alright, so now let's take a look at our server.properties. So just right click on that, open with, and we're going to use Notepad to open this guy up. But you see this is our basic configuration for our server and all the settings that we can change. But there's things for like allowing the nether, the level name. You can set the server port. I'd recommend leaving that at the default. And that's the port that you would port forward. You can set the server IP, but I usually just leave that blank. You can set the max build height, whitelist. You can set texture packs. This setting here, the online mode, I usually change that to false, and it's important to note because if you have users who have an odd version of Minecraft or a pirated version or something along those lines, they may get the error bad login when they're trying to log into your server, and that'll fix that there. And then this PvP, I also changed that to false, and that just prevents players from damaging each other because, you know, there's always that one guy who wants to kill his teammates or whatever. And then the last thing I changed is the name of the server just to Rob Willis Info Minecraft server. Now let's go ahead and save that and exit out of Notepad. Alright, so that's really all there is to the configuring the Minecraft server portion of this. So we can go ahead and just open that up and make sure that it comes up correctly now. Alright, and it's done. And then you see it went a lot quicker that time. Alright, so the next thing we have to do is open up some holes in our firewall so our clients can connect to our server. So the way we do that is start, control panel, and then we're looking for the Windows firewall. And on the left hand side we want to go to the advanced settings. I'll go ahead and maximize this window, and then we want to take a look at the inbound roles. Alright, so you'll see that I went and created my roles ahead of time just for time's sake, but let's go ahead and expand this out here. If you need to make a new role, you just click new role in the right hand pane over here, but you'll see that we have 3 roles, 1 for Minecraft and 2 for Java. When you run the server for the first time, it should ask you whether you want to allow network connectivity to Java or deny it, and it'll enable or disable those roles based on what you say there. But let's go take a look at the Minecraft role first. So you see that I have it set up to allow the connection, and under the Programs and Services tab, I have it pointed towards the Minecraft executable that I downloaded that is on my desktop, and it'll allow any connections to this executable. Alright, so let's take a real quick look at one of the Java roles as well. So we see that it points to C program files, Java, your JRE version, bin, and the java w.exe, and that's the same for both roles. And we see under the Advanced tab here that there's the options for private, public, and domain. If you were going to share out over the internet, you would check that public one, and you would also have to do that on your Minecraft role as well. And we see that there's 2 Java rules because one is TCP and one is UDP. Alright, and that wraps up the firewall configuration. Alright, so this last step is going to be an easy one, I promise. So we just got to get the IP address of the server now. So we go to start, type CMD, which stands for command prompt. I'm going to pull that up, and you see a little black box like this, and we're going to type ipconfig. And you see our IPv4 address there, 192.168.2.7, and that's the address that our local clients will use to connect to our server. Another way to get to that is to go to Start, Control Panel, Network and Sharing Center. On the left hand side, go to Change Adapter Settings, and then right click on your adapter and go to Status, and then click on the Details button. And we see our IPv4 address right there. Alright, so now it's time to see what all this hard work was for, and I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a different kind of view here. So on the left hand side you see half of a remote desktop session of the server itself, and you see Windows Task Manager running on there too, so we can kind of see how its hardware usage goes. And then on the right hand side you see Minecraft running on my desktop, but these are 2 completely separate physical machines. Alright, so take a look at the server real quick. We see that it's a quad-core CPU, it has 4 gig of RAM in this VM, and looking at the Task Manager we can keep an eye on all the cores, the networking, the processes. We see the server process itself is about 214 megabytes of RAM right now. And let's go get started. So on the right hand side, let's go to the multiplayer on Minecraft, and we can do either the direct connect or we can add the server. We're going to just go and add the server. We're going to do for the server name, it can be whatever you want. We'll do Raw Willis Info, Minecraft server, and for the server address, you're going to use the IP address that you got in the previous step and enter it there. And then we're going to hit done, and we see that it found our server, and it has a good strength, and there's 0 users logged in with a limit of 20, and we can go ahead and join the server. Alright, look at that. So you see that it let us log into a server successfully, and you see it starts rendering out the world and everything, and it'll take a few seconds to really get going, and it'll be a little bit laggy at first, but it generally does smooth out. But let's go ahead and try and put a little bit of a load on the server, and wander over here and break up some wood. But so like I said, the cool thing about this is that now you can get all your friends to log into your server and collaborate, and you can build things on massive scales and go on adventures together and visit another and stuff like that. So look at all the squid out there. Alright, so let's go ahead and pause it and see how the server did. So so you see, look at the CPU, it looks like number 2 took most of the hit. The networking, not much, just a little blip getting in, I guess. And for the server process, it only went up about 5 megabytes. But alright, and let's look at the server up here at the top. So you see, same thing, kind of a blip getting in there, not so much. You see the test user under players, and you see under the log it says that I joined and my IP address. Alright, so there you have it. So you see, it doesn't really take a whole lot of hardware. Like something dual core with 4 gig RAM on it could probably support a good bit of users. And that's really all it takes. So we had to download and install the Java applet that was free from minecraft.net/downloads, and open up our firewall rules, and then grab our local IP. And if you're going to be publishing your server out to the internet, you'll have to do the port forwarding and have your friends or whoever are remote connecting via your modem IP or your external IP. and that's really all there is to it. Hope this helps you guys out. If you have any questions, just hit me up, let me know. Oh, check that out on Oscillate. And that's really all there is to it. Hope this helps you guys out, and thanks for watching.